what you've presented in your whole big budget book that you just released is the JFK assassination version of America's financial story. There is definitely a trigger man, but there's also a bunch of other conspirators who play a role. The Lee Harvey Oswald of America's fiscal crisis is our big entitlement programs.
A lot of people don't like to hear this, but the main culprit, the overwhelming culprit of long-term deficit projections is Social Security and Medicare shortfalls. There's a myth that Social Security and Medicare pay for themselves with payroll taxes and Medicare premiums. Not even close. And that's not because of the trust fund either. It's because the programs by design do not collect nearly enough in payroll taxes and premiums, and they require substantial general revenue transfers. A couple of years ago, those general revenue transfers were about $300 billion a year. This year, they're about $700 billion. And a decade from now, it's going to be $2.8 trillion per year of general revenue transfers just to pay Social Security and Medicare benefits. The budget deficit going to a $4.4 trillion deficit in 10 years, 2/3 of that is the general revenue transfers to pay Social Security and Medicare benefits. And again, politicians don't like to talk about this because nobody wants to touch Social Security and Medicare, understandably. But mathematically speaking, the programs are in financial trouble, and that is the main culprit long-term for budget deficits. And it has to be dealt with whether it's uncomfortable or not. People believe all too often Social Security is not part of the deficit. It's not part of the debt. That's not true. Over the next 30 years, Social Security is going to take in $81 trillion in payroll and related taxes and cost $129 trillion in benefits and interest. That's just the math. That's a $48 trillion shortfall that's going to come out of the budget deficit. We just have 74 million retiring baby boomers, many of whom are now living much longer. There's no villain in the story. It's just demographics and program formulas. You think Social Security is in trouble with a $48 trillion shortfall over 30 years. Medicare is going to take in $28 trillion in payroll taxes and related premiums, et cetera, and cost $137 trillion. That's a $109 trillion cash shortfall for Medicare. To put simply, the payroll taxes you pay to Medicare and the premiums you're paying make a very small portion of your Medicare spending. In fact, the typical retiree retiring today, couple, is going to get back triple what they paid into Social Security. Triple what they paid into Medicare, even after you adjust for net present value.
Could you just talk a little bit about what is that cap? What would happen to this picture if we took off the cap?
The reason Social Security is capped, which is to say you pay benefits up to, I believe, about $175,000 in wages, not all the way up. Because we cap benefits, we cap the taxes. My concern with eliminating the cap from a mathematical point, it does not fully close the shortfall. In fact, if you eliminated the Social Security cap and paid taxes all the way up, the program would be back in deficit in 4 years. The other concern, though, I want to mention about lifting the cap is if you do so, you will raise the combined tax rate of professionals and higher earners. The combined marginal tax rate of higher earners would be about 65%, which is about the revenue maximizing rate. Yeah. I say that not because we feel bad for these people and, oh my gosh, the problem is that's the revenue maximizing rate, which means you can't raise their income tax, payroll, or state taxes any higher than that and get any more revenue. So the question becomes, if you want to eliminate the cap for Social Security, you don't get to raise taxes on the rich again for anything else. So the question becomes, is keeping Social Security out of deficit for 4 years really the best use of that tax hike on the rich? It's not that we feel sorry for rich people. It's that there's only so much room to raise their tax rates, and this would use it all up. I can come up with a lot better ways to use that revenue than this.